there are a number of inappropriate videos being published on YouTube about Soncerae with malicious intent. These videos violate YouTube's community guidelines. We ask that you report any content that promotes or condones violence against her because of her race, gender, age, economic status, sexual orientation, or relationship status, as well as content that incites hatred or harassment. If you see any misleading descriptions, tags, titles, or thumbnails that use her name, image, footage, or voice in order to increase views, please report the content. Things like predatory behavior, stalking, threats, harassment, intimidation, invading privacy, revealing other people's personal information, and inciting others to commit violent acts all break YouTube's community guidelines. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your subscription.
Excuse me as I kiss the sky.
You are now listening to the God Queen podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the God Queen Live. It sounds right here. I am in my car. It is freezing. I just got on the heat in my car. I decided to do a podcast in my car. Most of my podcasts are in my car. Like I sit in the car and either I'm going somewhere or I'm parked somewhere. And I don't have a lot of time to myself. So the car is like basically it for me, okay? Like I'm always around my son. My son is always full of energy. And when my son is sleeping is mostly the only time I have time to myself. And right now my son is asleep. So just keep that in mind. Anytime you hear me do a podcast, 9 times out of 10, I'm doing it while my son is asleep. Because any other time, I just do not have time for it. He is a toddler, so he's running around all over the place. And then I have my 19-year-old daughter that I'm also having to continue to mold into a beautiful, strong young lady. And then I have to take care of my mother as well. Most people who don't know my mother, we call her Grams. My mother is disabled and she has a number of illnesses, so a lot of times I'm taking care of her or dealing with something that has to do with her. So between the 3 of them, it kind of feels like I have 3 kids. Okay, kind of that's what it feels like, because you know my mom can't fully take care of herself the way that she wants to, so I have to consistently check up on her all the time. It's just a lot. As I speak about my family, I do want you guys to keep in mind that we are now going to do unboxing. My family is. They're going to do unboxing on my channel. So if you go onto my community tab, the address to their P.O. box is up on the community tab, and you can send them packages and they will do unboxing of those packages. Now, people are like, what should we send? What should we send your family? Send them something cool, something fun, something that you think will be interesting inside of a video, and we'll have my family unbox them weekly, okay? So that's something I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to also putting on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Soncerae Fan. I know if you're listening to my podcast, you're listening to it on Spreaker, as well as Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. So thank you for listening. You could go into my YouTube channel. I have Facebook Watch, YouTube, Roku, and Instagram. And for the most part, next year, I will be trying to post on more of my platforms than just YouTube. But for YouTube, my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Soncerae Fan. You can check out my videos there. I also have a blog called Read My Mind. There I talk about, the nitty gritty, the deep stuff that I can't really put on YouTube. It's on my blog for those that, enjoy reading. So what was I saying? Oh, what I'm going to be putting on my YouTube channel in the 2020 will be my weight loss journey. Those of you who have been my subscribers for a long time, you have noticed that you guys have not seen me. I haven't posted any videos of myself in a couple of weeks. And if you've been watching me for a long time, you know that. And the reason why is because I am working on my weight loss. And I'm not going to show you guys my face or my body for 6 months. You will not see me until June. Now, I wasn't going to post on my channel at all, but I decided to go ahead and start posting my weight loss journey and have my daughter narrate my journey as I go. So you won't see me, you may hear my voice, but you won't see me, but you will continue to see my daughter on my channel for the next 6 months. So Dominique is basically taking over as often as she can. We'll try to post weekly so you guys can keep up with us for the first 6 months of 2020. But that's what the goal is. Of course, I decided I wanted to do this a couple of months ago. I decided I wanted to start trying to lose weight because I had put on a lot of weight because of my depression, my postpartum depression. And because I used food as a way to cope with all of the things that I had dealt with my son's father and the drama associated with him. And if you stay on my YouTube channel, you'll see the transformation as I go along. I'm probably going to end up cutting off all of my hair as well, because I have a lot of hair, right? I have a lot of hair, but it is so difficult to deal with. And we're talking about my natural hair. I do not perm my hair. I try not to straighten my hair. My hair is all over the place, so I might do a big chop and start over because I just feel like it's just everywhere. So anyway, you never know what I'm going to look like June 1st. June 1st is my birthday. I'll turn 40, and that's when I'll show everybody my 40-year-old body. Okay, so bear with me, stick to my blogs and my audios, and you'll see my daughter on my YouTube channel. So have I covered the basics? Oh, if you want to speak to me directly, okay, because I will not be commenting inside of my comment section or on social media. If you have anything that you want to say to me directly, you can use my Google form. And the link to that will be just about everywhere. It's on my community tab. It's in the description box of my videos. It's inside of my comment section. So if you have any questions and you want to speak to me directly, please use that form and I will get back to you. I will probably do a video response, okay? I'm also doing my last live stream of the decade on New Year's Eve, and I'm going to do 20 questions there. So if you have any questions that you want to ask me, I will be answering them on New Year's Eve, all right? And you can fill out the form and put your question there. Or you can go to my community tab where I posted the fact that I'm doing my last live stream of the decade. You can put your comment there or your question there. And so anyway, I think I got everything out the way. Good. Everything's out the way. Okay. So my son is now 19 months old. He will be 2 in May. And the last time I talked to his father was, let me do something about this heat. The last time I talked to his father had this New Year's resolution. And inside of this New Year's resolution, he wanted to make himself a better person, so that included him being a better father. But to me, when he called me and he said this, it didn't seem genuine, like it was coming from a genuine place. It made it seem like it was coming from a selfish place. The way that he was saying it to me, it wasn't for the benefit of the relationship between him and my son. And because the new year is coming around, it reminds me of when he called me the first day of 2017, saying that he wanted to, be in our son's life. Now, I have made a vow that I will discontinue talking about my son's father in the 2020. And the only reason why is because of the drama associated with him. The things that he did online to create a mess to where people don't know the truth about our story. Because he was dishonest, it blurs the story a lot. You could never really know what the truth is because of my son's father. Because at this day and age, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And even though I have told the truth about this story, because he has lied so much, the story has now become confusing. And when other people are listening to it, they don't know what in the hell to believe. So at this point with me, I've just been like, you know what? I'm going to stop talking about him in general. And it isn't because of anything that has to do with him. I'm not doing him a favor, and I'm not doing my son a favor. I'm more of doing this for me, because I feel like talking about him served its purpose. And if I do mention him again, it'll probably be as an example when I'm speaking to, maybe I'm speaking at a college or I'm doing like a motivational speech. I might bring him up. But what I'm not going to do is drag him how I was. Even though he is still the POS that I said he was. He's still the narcissist that I said he was. He's still all of the things that I said he was. To me, I feel like I'm in the healing, towards the end of the healing process as far as he goes. I probably won't ever talk to him again. I don't feel comfortable with speaking to him. And of course, with me, he could have access to his son without having to deal with me. And it's always been that way. He has always been able to have access to his son without having to deal with me. Because there have been plenty of other people around that wanted to bridge that gap. And they would have helped him see his son. And so many people tried to help with this. And so now I'm starting to notice my son knows the difference between mommy and daddy. My son, like I said, my son is 19 months old, and my son is very smart. He can read, he can count, he can say his ABCs, he can talk, he can do complete sentences. He's a very smart kid, okay? He's very advanced for his age. Just the fact that he knows how to read is amazing to me. And usually kids don't know how to read. And we're talking about reading out loud. They don't know how to read out loud until they're like 5 or 6. And my son already knows how to read. And that definitely is because of me and my mom. Me and my mom have been pumping my son full of powerful information since he was born. I remember the day he was born, we were teaching him ABCs. My nursery rhymes for my son always have to do with something that has to teach him numbers, letters, colors, math, everything. All of my nursery rhymes, everything that I deal with as far as my son goes, because I want my son to be well-rounded, okay? Now, I'm finally deciding to introduce my son to his father the best way I can. Now, this isn't the first time I tried to introduce my son to his father. I literally tried to do it my son's first birthday. I contacted my son's father's family, and I was going to fly from California to Atlanta so my son could meet his father, because they have never met. That was the last time I did it. The first time I did it is when I invited his family to come and be a part of labor and delivery. When my son was born, when I was still in the hospital, of course, priest knew because he was called, he was informed, and he still didn't want to come down and visit his son then. And when his son turned 1 and I was going to fly from California to Atlanta so they could meet at his birthday party, because we were going to have a birthday party for my son at this place called Monkey Joe's. And it was going to be a place where priests could, meet justice. I was going to be there, but probably going to just stay out the way so he could meet his, have time with his son, and our family could interact with each other. And Priest flat out told his family that he wasn't going to show up. So I was like, well, that's pointless for me to fly all the way from California to Atlanta for these two to meet, and he's not going to come. And so that was the last time I tried to do an introduction. And that's when I got fed up and was like, I am not about to sit up here and keep trying to force a child on a man who clearly doesn't have what it takes to be the type of man he needs to be for his own flesh and blood. I just cannot do that. I could see if it was up in the air possibly that this man had no clue if our son was his, but he definitely knows that our son is his because we did paternity testing. So there's no doubt who the father of my son is, and it's never been any doubt in my mind ever. Okay, and in his, of course, there was doubt in his mind because he had been doing a whole bunch of fraudulent fuck shit from the day that he met me. So, of course, when people have been doing or moving how a crook move, they're going to feel like everybody around them is probably doing the same behavior that they're doing. And for me, I've always been honest with my son's father. I've always been very trustful. And his own personal insecurities probably had him thinking that he was dealing with the wrong type of woman. There are bad women out there, but it just so happens that I wasn't that. I never had any malicious intent with my son's father at all. I was just deeply in love with this dude. I genuinely love this dude so hard. Like, you have no idea. And if you want to get possibly an idea, you can go back and look at my Priest plus Ray playlist on my YouTube channel. I vlogged my entire pregnancy. Okay, and you get to see my emotions. You get to see, the ups and downs of my experience and what I was going through. And it's very raw, and it's very uncut, and it's very honest. It's like the realest shit ever. And so check it out when you can. So anyway, now my son is starting to understand the concept of mommy and daddy. And so what I've done now is start putting pictures of me and Priest everywhere, because I do want my son to realize that he comes from someone. I don't want him to feel like, number one, he doesn't know who his father is. He's gonna know who his father is. That's number one, because we're talking about filling up a void here, because we don't, as a mom, what we don't want to do as single moms, as far as our sons go, create this hole that they'll consistently have to keep trying to fill with a whole bunch of nonsense. So first and foremost, I want my son to know that yes, he does have a father. Now, it's important that my son also knows that his father does pay child support. Priest did not pay child support this month. For some reason, I don't know why. His pay is garnished, so it could be possible that he is unemployed. That could be the only reason to me why I have not received a payment this month. Because like I said, his pay is garnished. So it comes right out of his paycheck. And the only reason why I wouldn't get anything in the month of December is because he's not generating any type of income. Okay, now that's just an assumption. I haven't contacted the child support services place yet, and I'll probably do that in the beginning of the year to try to figure out, like, if I don't get my January payment, then I'll probably contact them and say, hey, I didn't get my December payment. What's going on with my January payment? Now, his payments aren't high. It isn't like he has like this large payment he has to pay. It's only $264 a month, and they break it up into two pieces. So they give me a check. They deposit money into Justice's bank account twice a month. So they split the $264 into two pieces. Okay, and so usually it's like a little bit over $100 one week, and then 2 weeks later it's a little bit over $100 again. And so, like I said, December we didn't get anything, and then January if I don't get that first payment, I'm going to contact child support services and see if they can give me an update on why he hasn't been paying his child support. And he's behind maybe $800. Like, he's already behind $800. He's already in arrears, $800. So, I've been giving my son pictures of Priest and I together. Because, like I said, I want my son to know he has a father. Once he knows he has a father, once he knows there's mommy and daddy, and he has parents. This is what he needs to know. He has parents. Okay? He has mom, he has dad. Once he starts understanding that, then the next step for me is to explain to him why his father isn't around. And of course, I can't lie to him about it. I'm not going to lie to him about it at all, not even a little bit, because I want my son to know the truth. I want my son to be able to trust me. And he can't do that if I lie to him. So, what I decided to just say to him, basically, is that we live in California and daddy lives in Georgia. That's why you don't see daddy all of the time. Okay, that's why. Now, the next step will be after that is explaining to him why they never met. You see how I have to like piece it by piece by piece by piece by piece. And the reason why I have to do this is because first of all, I don't want my son to hate himself. And if I show disdain towards his father, my son is going to have a deep-rooted hatred for himself if he sees that I hate his dad. Because his dad is a piece of him. Now, let's get this out of the way. I don't hate his father. I did for a while, but for me, I just feel like I'm the type of person that I don't hold grudges for a long time. Once I'm over something, I'm over it. And for me, this situation between me and my son's father is very deep-rooted. It's very hard to deal with. Even with me just dealing with it by myself, it's very difficult to deal with. Because not only do I have to deal with my own personal feelings as far as this person goes, I also have to deal with how it's affecting my son. And that is a lot to me. I don't know what Priest is going through because I don't talk to him. And what he feels and what he's doing isn't my concern. What he's doing with his mental health and his personal life, that's his business. And he decided to separate it from us. Now, me, as a parent, and this is what I try to tell other women who come to me with issues as far as co-parenting goes, I try to explain to them that if something is happening with the fathers of your children, yes, that is still your business, because what happens with the fathers of your children affects your children. The state that the fathers of your children are in affect your children. So you very much have to care about what's happening to them, their fathers, even if you don't want to deal with them. And so, of course, I'm still having a level of concern for Priest as far as that goes. But what Priest didn't understand as far as the co-parenting dynamic goes is that as my son's father, he still had to care about me as a mother and not leave me hanging somewhere, because how I am as a mother affects his child. Now, he's already shown that he doesn't care about either one of us. So that's something that I have to deal with. Now, that's something I also am not going to take personal, and I have to teach my son how to not take that personal, because usually how people do things, it is a reflection of them and their character, how they respond to their life experiences. We can't control how people respond to us. We can't control how people perceive reality or what they do with their own lives. And so I want to be able to teach my son. I want to teach him about his father and introduce his father to him in a healthy manner without having any drama or issues associated with it, and without his father actually being present. Now, that's hard, like I said, but it can be done. It's not mission impossible. And so then keep in mind that his father's not around, so I still have to fill in that void. It's still going to be a little bit of a void there that I'm trying to fill in, because I don't want a hole there. If a hole is there, he's going to be getting into all types of trouble in different types of places. And so this is when mentoring of other men is going to come from. My son is going to try to emulate some type of man around him somewhere. So it's up to me as a mom to make sure I have someone in his life for him to emulate positively. You understand what I mean? So it doesn't mean that I have to be married or inside of a relationship, which is also something that I have to work on as well, because I have like trust issues and commitment issues, and I don't want to bring those issues and baggage into a new relationship. If I want a healthy blended family. So if I do decide to get married, and I probably will, when I do decide to get married, I don't want to bring that baggage from my previous relationship inside of the future relationship. And so I was thinking about all types of people that can mentor my son, as far as the church goes, as far as sports goes, as far as mentoring programs, just keeping my son involved in a whole bunch of things that have to do with the community. And you guys know I'm big on altruism and philanthropy. So of course I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of positive stuff, a whole bunch of positive work, volunteer work. That's just how I am. That's how I operate. So my son will be involved in all of that stuff, just like my daughter was. My daughter did volunteer work too, and did a lot of community, service. And so I'm going to make sure my son handles, gets into all of that stuff as well. It's just all about building character. And raising boys is very different from raising girls. Of course, I have a 19-year-old, so I fully raised a girl, and she was much easier to raise than my son. And I can already tell with my son not even being 2 yet, that they are very different as far as raising them goes. Okay, so as his mother, what I'm not going to do is sit here and try to be his father. And that's one thing that I think single mothers make a mistake doing. You're trying to be his father as well. And I know there are a lot of responsibilities that fathers have that mothers have to do because there's no father there. But you have to understand that you are his mom. You are his mom, and it just so happens that you're doing double the work. Okay? You can treat him how his father would treat him, or how a man would treat a son, but you still have to remember at the end of the day that you're his mom. Okay? You got to teach him how to have good manners and helpful behaviors, and to be strong. And those 3 things I think have been missing as far as a lot of single moms go. Now, don't get it twisted. I said this before. It's a lot of single mothers out here who raised some amazing sons, and they did the job. They did the work of teaching their sons manners and helpful behaviors. You also have to, as their mom, allow them to express themselves and let them know that it's okay for them to do that. And as I'm seeing my son cry, and see my son, be angry sometimes, see my son be frustrated sometimes, I'm letting him know these are all emotions that it's okay for you to feel. Let me teach you how to cope with these feelings. That's what I'm doing with my son. A lot of single mothers don't do that. Because I honestly think don't a lot of fathers do that, because I don't think fathers were taught that. A lot of fathers were taught that. I'm going to teach my son basically how to cook, how to do laundry, how to be a father himself. I'm going to teach him how to take care of himself and take care of somebody else. Because in the event he has children, he has to know how to take care of himself and his children simultaneously. As far as his aggression goes, because boys are more aggressive than girls, that's what sports or boxing or karate or prayer or meditation or yoga or whatever type of activity I put on my son, or whichever one that he likes, those will be outlets for the aggression that he has. I told you guys when I was pregnant, I felt all of that aggression. I felt a tremendous amount of testosterone in my body. I was very, very angry. And we're just not talking about my regular angry to where I'm upset because of the situation I was in. I felt a separate set of anger. It was my own anger and my son's. It was just aggression that I felt. So it's just the masculinity and testosterone that I felt when I was pregnant with my son. And my son has a lot of testosterone. He is a boy. Okay. And with that being said, I still have to set a lot of limits and boundaries to stop him from doing inappropriate behavior that I feel like sometimes men allow for boys to have. At the same time, I don't want to restrict him, or I don't want him to feel like he's a mama's boy. You understand? But I still have to set those limits and boundaries so he can have good manners and helpful behaviors and leadership, like a sense of leadership. This is what I'm trying to teach him. And the only way I can do that is by discipline, limits and boundaries. I want him to know always that I support him and I motivate him, and nothing I say to him will be critical, because I criticize his father all of the time, and that's on top of what he's done to me. It just makes me have a negative feeling about everything he's done. I can't show him support. I can't motivate him like I used to do when we was together. Because when me and my son's father was together and I saw like negative things that he would do, I would be very supportive, very motivational. I would listen to him. I would care about his feelings, care about his thoughts. And the way that he treated me in a return, it was so bad that now every time I think of him, it's so critical and so negative. And it's something that I have to consistently work on. Because at this time, I really don't know how to think of him in my mind. I do know that inside of my heart, there isn't any hatred for anybody there. Because what I just decided to do was lift that weight off of myself. Because I felt heavy being like upset with him and people like Minister Jap and people like Chris Law and people that did a whole bunch of stuff to me online that was unnecessary and childish and ugly and, things that didn't have to go the way that they went. I had to literally let go of the negativity I felt associated with those people. Okay. And when I'm speaking to my son about my father, when my son does get to a point where we can start having like conversations, I don't want to be critical when I'm talking to my son, because even if I'm critical of his father, my son could still internalize that. So I have to work on that. I have to work on building my son's self-esteem, and I can't build his self-esteem if I'm consistently criticizing his father, One thing that I do see a lot of mothers have an issue with, and I think I'm having somewhat of an issue with it right now with my son, is consistent discipline. Like with boys, you can't negotiate and bargain with them all the time. Like I be bargaining with my son sometimes. Like he does stuff and I say no and he just does it anyway. Like I have a video on my channel right now, on his channel. It's called Raising Justice. And he's walking on the damn couch. And I keep telling him, please get down off the couch or please sit down. And I'm like, I'll give you a pretzel if you get off the couch. That's me negotiating and bargaining with him. So I have to do stuff. I have to stop doing that, because if my son keeps walking on that couch like that, he's going to fall down off of that couch. And I consistently have to keep telling him no. So I'm going to have to find another way to discipline him as far as the couch goes, because he keeps walking on it and he's going to bust his head, I'm telling you. I also want to teach his son about my son about mistakes. And for them to understand that when they do something wrong, they have to rectify something and fix what they did wrong, if in fact it's in their control to do so. Instead of just allowing something to just be wrong, they have to fix their behavior, fix who they are as a person, fix their friendships and their relationships, mend them, apologize, let bygones be bygones, let shit go. Like most stuff at the end of the day really is just not that serious, and you can strip yourself of happiness and peace consistently holding on to things that aren't that serious. Now, I have a lot of respect for myself, and I have a lot of respect for a lot of people, and it could be easily destroyed by disrespecting me. Like, if they disrespect me, I can no longer give them respect. I can no longer give them respect. And as I'm teaching my son how to respect me and his family and how he treats others, I factor in that there is a possibility that I'm going to have to teach my son how to deal with people that don't respect him. And that's a whole nother thing that I have to work on, that I have to think about. Because with me, my response to people not respecting me has been so like, I don't know, I want to say it's been so, I don't know, my response to it hasn't been the best. Just put it like that. Because my ass, that is like my pet peeve. Like, if you disrespect me, I don't want you in my life at all. Like, I'll stop communication altogether. I will block you. I don't want nothing to hear from you. I don't have anything I want to say. I don't like you. I'm done with it, because I don't like disrespectful people. So I'm that's one thing that I'm going to struggle with as far as teaching my son how to respect people. I do want to also teach my son the coping skills and how to deal with disappointments and life lessons and rejection, because there might be a time where he is rejected by a woman, or maybe he doesn't get the job he wants, or maybe he doesn't get on the team that he wants. Maybe whatever it is that he wants to do, I want to teach him how to cope with that rejection. Okay? And to me, that's a good thing as far as guys go. Because what I notice is with a lot of men, when men get rejected, the way that they act upon rejection is terrible. Like, the way that they get so disrespectful. I think they feel like a woman rejecting them is a form of disrespect. And I don't want my son to feel like because some girl, rejected him, that he has to disrespect her from then on. I also want to teach my son responsibility and how to have like work ethic and values, to have like a moral compass, do stuff around the house, like take care of the lawn or take out the trash or repair the house or things like that. I want to teach my son that I do those things. My mother does those things, but I want my son to understand that those are a lot of things that people consider part of a masculine role. So I'm trying to teach my son the masculine things about being a man, about being a boy, and being a boy growing into a man. And that's what I consistently think about every day, because to me, it's severe. It's serious. Me being a single mom, I have to teach my son manly things. And I don't want to teach him manly things from a woman's perspective. I want to teach him manly things from a man's perspective. You know what I mean? And that's like so difficult. Having to do the things that my son's father was supposed to do or is supposed to be doing right now is sad to me. I remember the other day, me and my daughter was walking around the Walmart going shopping. We were looking for gifts to buy. It was like right before Christmas. And I said to her, I was thinking about my son, and I was thinking about how my son needs a haircut. And I said to my daughter, I wish that my son's father was around, number one, for my son for Christmas. Now, Priest doesn't celebrate holidays. So there's that. But I want my son to celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving, and because I want him to feel comfortable with being around people. I don't want him to ostracize himself or isolate himself from people. I want him to know how to cope and deal with people. Okay, so I said to her that I wish he was around for Justice's first haircut, because a first time a boy goes to a barbershop, he's supposed to go to the barbershop with his father, or his father is supposed to cut his hair. It's never supposed to be a single mother walking into a barbershop with a son. But being as though I have to do it, it just, to me, it's like so unfair to my son. And had I known that my son's father would be this type of man, I would have never even put myself in a position to have a baby with him. Because I don't like men who behave this way. That is so unattractive to me. I don't know how women can date men who do not take care of their children. I don't know how they do it, because I cannot do that. I just always thought that was unattractive. I always thought that, anyone who had a character of that kind was just ugly. And so with my son's father, I'm just surprised that he behaves this way. And I'm surprised that I did not see that this was the type of man that he was. But I can't sit here and dwell on that. I just have to, try to, number one, create a healthy blended family, okay? That's what, I think about that. Even if I don't end up in a relationship with someone, I definitely want some positive male role models around my son. Okay, number one, I do want to heal myself because I don't want to pick another guy like my son's father. I never want to do that, ever again. And, my daughter's father is amazing, by the way. I cannot tell you that enough. Like, my daughter's father is a great father. He's a great friend, and he understands. Why am I so I think I'm hungry. He understands the dynamic of co-parenting, and I don't have to teach it to him. And I think it's because he had his parents. You know what I mean? And when you're dealing with someone who's had two parents, like I had a stepdad. And my stepdad wasn't the best stepdad, but I did have one. So I kind of understand the co-parenting dynamic, and I know how to make a co-parent situation easier and a blended family easier. And so I'm just working on that. I'm working on healing. I'm working on trying to just be a better mom and a better friend and a better girlfriend and a better wife and whatever else that I need to be for my son. That's all I keep thinking about is my son. That's it. So as I sit here and introduce my son to his father without his father being present, I'm presented with something that's difficult and fragile, and hopefully with time, my son can have the relationship that he feels like he wants with his father, if he wants one, when my son gets older. Right now, every single moment that my son's father stays away from his son, the more I dislike my son's father. Like, the more he makes this difficult for my son. Like, every moment that my son grows up without him, the harder my son's life is going to be, and the harder it is going to be for me to keep him on track. And so this is why I have a level of disdain for my son's father, because he knew what type of mother I wanted to be, what type of wife I wanted to be, what type of family structure I wanted to have, because we had the discussions. We talked about it on numerous occasions. It wasn't brought up in conversation. And for him to be the type of man he is, I wish he would have just introduced me to this guy from the beginning so I would have known not to have a kid with him. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he didn't show me who he was truly until after I was pregnant. And that's what bothers me a lot about him, because I don't know dude. I don't know him. And I have a baby by a complete stranger because who he was depicting himself to be from the very, very beginning of our relationship is not who he is. And that's what bothers me so much. I wish he would have just showed me who he truly was so I could go away and be with someone who genuinely loved me and had a baby by someone who genuinely loved me and actually had the resources or even the mindset to be the type of father that a child needs. And because he depicted himself as being something he is not, I fell in love with a fictional character. And the only definition of a father I have in my mind for my son to tell my son about is this fictional character that Priest created. Because that's all I know. I don't know this other guy. Like, this guy he truly is, I don't know him. I just know who he had pretended to be for those many, many months. And I mean, dealing with somebody every day, like when you're spending all of your time with someone every day for months at a time and you think you know them and then you wake up and realize that you don't because of this new person they decided to suddenly show you they are. It is so devastating, I'm telling you. But I'm telling you, if I knew the character traits that my son's father has now, if I knew them before I got pregnant, I would have never even put myself in a position to marry him, to live with him, to sleep with him, nothing. I would have done none of that. So as I'm sitting here trying to teach my son the man that I did know, that is the difficult part, because in the back of my mind, I know that the person that my son's father showed me he was is not who he is. And yet I still have to teach my son, this is who he showed me he was. And this is who your father is. And with time, my son will see the different perspectives. He will see my perspective of his father and what made me fall in love with his father to begin with. And then he'll go off and be introduced to the real version of his father. And he'll see the difference and understand why he and his father are, me and his father are not together. He'll get it. And so that's all I keep thinking about, is making sure that my son doesn't grow up confused. And every day, that's something I have to work on every day. Every day I'm teaching my son. Every day, all day. That's what parents do. And if I neglect my son for 2 minutes, he's going to get lost inside of this place where a lot of black boys get lost at. The place that a whole bunch of black boys who don't have fathers get stuck in. And I don't want my son in that. I will work my hardest to do good by him so he can be a good kid and then grow up and be a good man. This is what I want my son to be, a good man. That's it. Just a well-rounded person who tries to do good by people. Not someone who lies and is malicious and manipulates people. I want him to be responsible. I want him to be loving and caring and strong and a provider. And I want him to protect people, the people that he loves. I want him to understand himself and accept who he is, however he turns out. And I want him to know that even if his father never comes around and they never meet, that he still has support from me and all of the people that have been in his life and all the people that love him. And that's what I want my son to learn. So, this will be my last podcast for this decade. I know, right? For this decade, this will be my last podcast. Stay tuned for what's happening in the 2020, because it's going to be a lot of changes, y'all. A lot of changes. If you want to donate to my son's trust fund, it's $. You can send it to his Cash App, $ Little Justice. You can send us donations. There are a lot of things that my son needs, not just money for his trust fund, but it's tons of stuff that we need for him to just make sure he has a well-rounded life. So even if you just want to send my son something, like some people don't want to send money, they want to send my son like toys and clothes and stuff like that. My P.O. box is inside of my community tab on my YouTube channel. You can get the address there, okay? I appreciate you listening. Have vision and stay focused. Namaste. Wait. I just thought of something. I ain't said it to y'all in a long time. If you ever out here wondering what I'm doing, I'm out here capturing that good energy, baby. All right. Bye, y'all.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Ladies, if you want to manage your money, get out of debt, and create financial peace and stability for your family, you can get the best finance tips for moms by visiting richsinglemama.com. There you can learn where to find the best side hustles, how to get some extra cash from home, take master classes, get parenting tips, as well as relationship advice. If you talk to the founder, Samantha Gregory, let her know that Soncerae sent you, okay? Are you a single parent in need of housing assistance? Do you need a down payment on a home or for furnishings? Well, you can reach out to Work Done Charitable Foundation. They serve single parents and underprivileged families. They have programs that are dedicated to strengthening and transforming communities by combating poverty, hunger, and improving the quality of lives for families academically, socially, and economically. They provide nutrition and wellness education, online financial education. They also have a scholarship program for students. One of the most popular programs is called Home for the Holidays, where former NFL running back of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Atlanta Falcons, Warwick Dunn, partners with local community organizations to reduce the burden on new single-parent homeowners by fully furnishing their new home, providing down payment assistance checks, and stocking the pantry with food, all in honor of his late mother's dream of home ownership. If you'd like to donate, become a sponsor, volunteer, attend workshops or events, please visit Work Done Charitable Foundation at wdc.org. You can also contact them via email info@wdc.org, or you can place a call 470-585-1648.
Hey, this is Bishop Anthony Glover of the Shepherd Circle, Nashville, Tennessee. Listen, I want to talk to you about something very important. There's a number of inappropriate videos being published on YouTube about Soncerae with malicious intent. First of all, these videos violate YouTube's community guidelines. I'm asking you that you report any content that promotes or condones violence against her because of her race, gender, age, economic status, sexual orientation, or even her relationship status, as well as anything that incites hatred or harassment. If you see any misleading descriptions, tags, titles, thumbnails that use her name, image, footage, or voice in order to increase their views, I'm asking you to please report that. Predatory behavior, stalking, threats, harassment, intimidation, invasion of privacy, revealing someone's personal information, and inciting people to commit acts of violence against people all break YouTube's community guidelines. So please report this information and help stop cyberbullying.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to my Awesome Blackness channel, or ABC for short. My name is Mighty, and on this platform, I'm going to explore the awesomeness of our black people. That's right, whether you're big or small, celebrity or civilian, anywhere in the world, if you're awesome, you're featured here. And for this video, I'm going to switch it up a little. Welcome to the 20th episode of ABC. I'm personally excited to have reached this milestone because, for one, I'm a serial procrastinator. So, while 20 videos might be a walk in the park for a monster content creator, it was monster content for me to create. Whether it was a lagging computer, only being able to edit and record voiceover at weird times and or places, or just life in general. If I just so happened to get caught up in the throes of creativity, it didn't take much to have it derailed in spectacular fashion. In spite of this, I apparently accomplished the goal. I just want to sit on that point for a moment because I hope this reaches someone who feels like theirs may be impossible to hit. It's not. Take it from me. Whatever it is, start small and keep moving. Create baby steps and don't allow setbacks to be justification to step back. I have more bumper sticker mantras I could espouse, but I'll spare you the excessive corniness. I'm also proud to announce that at the making and broadcast of this video, the other goal of 100 subs has been reached. And my appreciation for all you day ones can't be overstated. Thank you. Okay, so as promised, I'm switching it up one more again and highlighting a fellow YouTuber. And hoo boy, it appears that I have to say this with slight trepidation because this may very well destroy the goodwill I just established with a slew of new subscribers that just came in. Which, by the way, hello, welcome and thanks. For the rest of you wondering why, as you scratch your heads, I'll explain below. But first, allow me to formally introduce Soncerae Smith, a fellow content creator who's been on the platform for over a decade now. Currently, she's sitting at a respectable 42k subs with over 7 million views, according to her social blade. She also has another channel dedicated to her baby son with close to 900 subs and 90k views. Born on the 1st of June in 1980 and originally from Washington, D.C., Miss Smith spent the better part of her life in Atlanta, Georgia. Currently, she resides in San Francisco, California. In her early days, Ms. Smith pursued a career in modeling, in addition to holding a number of unique positions, businesses, and hustles. So much so that she's in the running for the most interesting woman in the world. Going back over her catalog, it also appears just as varied as she, with the creator trying her hands at everything from comedic skits, story times, true crime, vlogging, spiritual and metaphysical, motivation, cooking, health and beauty tutorials, and much more. However, these days, she gives regular uploads of live videos, a more focused commentary in her edited content, in addition to offering the God Queen podcast, of which is also streamed on multiple platforms. Furthermore, she maintains a blog, Soncerae, Read My Mind, which serves as a less restrictive annex to her respective outlets. Okay, so now that I got the overall generic preamble out of the way, let's get to some nitty-gritty. A quick disclaimer: while my videos have developed into a formulaic rhythm, one which did not deviate too much into the exposition, such as the one I'm going to provide, I felt it necessary, as explained. But fret not, because it'll all tie together in the end. On first blush, Ms. Smith appears to manage a channel that adopts messages of positivity. However, and admittedly, the way in which I happened upon her wasn't through such. The details are long and convoluted, so I'll spare you. I will summarize though by stating that one thing any content creator knows about this YouTube world is that it becomes small once you get involved, and even smaller when amongst a subset like the black YouTubers. So just imagine 6 degrees of separation as to how I discovered her. Again, Ms. Smith seems to be a polarizing figure within the community. On the one hand, you have this unique but otherwise just another content creator on the platform who makes videos that, albeit are clickbaity at times, because as part of the game, I get it, and heavy on the ads, hashtag secure the bag. But apart from that, whose content is generally harmless. And then on the other, there's this legion of people who are seemingly going out of their way to discredit, character assassinate, and demean her. And I needed to know why. So, in a fair assessment of things, I did a deep dive into her and her channel. And I have to say that after watching countless hours from her and the orbiters who seem to be in some way connected, I came to the conclusion as to why this may be. Before we continue, I just want to say that I won't be going into detail regarding who she's had squabbles with specifically because A, it's well documented, so a quick search would get you on your way, which segues into B, the lore is long and vast, and C, this ain't that type of channel. So I will be keeping it concise and to generalities where possible for the sake of what already feels like is going to be a huge video. Firstly, a good part of the controversy seems to stem from the fact that she recounts her life, warts and all, in extreme detail, and some of the peripheral characters have expressed discontent as it relates to having their business out in these YouTube streets. And to an extent, I get it. Not everyone wants their business exposed in such a widespread manner. However, I've learned ever since I can remember that an element which comes along with being or being in proximity to a public figure is that all bets are off when it comes to maintaining any semblance of a private life. That's the trade-off, as any celebrity will disclose. I will, however, add that as it relates to YouTubers, a few things do change the situation, like who you're rocking with, what their content consists of, and if they even show themselves in their videos. Anyway, Ms. Smith's transparencies were undoubtedly the genesis of and ongoing contributor to the inevitable drama that ensued, stirred up from the above mentioned to now include their family members, friends, and supporters, as they themselves develop channels in an effort to refute claims made by her, and probably not done with the best tact or sophistication. You know, another part of this YouTube world I discovered is that it's a lot like high school. Whether it was just last year or a couple of decades ago now, I bet you can vividly recall when the halls came alive and factions were brought together in kumbaya fashion, regardless of what stereotype personalities you fit into when the drama went down. And this place is no different. In fact, a lot of channels are profiting off the penchant to spill the tea and mop up the mess. And I'm not knocking them. Although I was the chill, quiet, observant dude who mostly avoided drama, even I wasn't above being attracted to it. That also appeared to be the case on here when I was simply a content consumer. However, as I made the decision to start my brand, the part of me to steer clear of such was reaffirmed. Thus, this. Oh, and by the way, for those who are interested, I went to a performing arts high school and majored in theater, so that's about enough drama for me for a lifetime. Back to Miss Smith, though, and as to why I decided to do a video on her in particular. Well, it stems from a number of reasons, but it can be generally summed up as such. As stated in my video on Shelly Ann Fraser Price, the fellow YouTubers I continue to watch both inspire and inform how my channel evolves. Miss Smith states in her channel bio that she's a women's rights activist and domestic violence advocate who provides commentary about co-parenting, custody, child support, paternity, and family law. Thus, as reflected in more recent videos, her channel seems to have evolved, focusing on empowering single mothers with words of encouragement, unabashed self-reflection, advice, and resources to help them navigate the #single mom life, as she is one herself, to children's Dominique and Justice, names and image of whom are proudly prominent on her channel and in videos, so I'm not outing them. This part resonated with me and caused me to reflect on my own life. See, I have two sisters and a dearly departed cousin and a sister-in-law who are or were single mothers. Heck, my mother at one time raised me and my 4 siblings on her own, all of which were not without their nicks and scratches. So suffice to say, I have a lot of reference material and a vested interest, as I can truly see Miss Smith as my sister. We close in age, by the way. This kinship is made more evident when I see her interacting with her daughter. In one video, I remember Soncerae whimsically breaking it out into a song in the middle of a conversation with Dom, as she is affectionately called. I took pause because this is exactly how my sister, of whom we're also close in age, engages with little koi fish, as we call her. That said, I noticed that part of Miss Smith's lambasting was due to her parental status. You know, I acknowledge listening to my fair share of YouTubers condemning single motherhood. Very few times it was delivered in a reasonable, measured way, but more oftentimes than not, it's in hyperbolic and vitriolic fashion. And even despite such a bombastic conveyance, I could still see their point to an extent, which is to generally highlight the worst offenders. Even still though, I can never fully buy into the ideology of publicly rebuking them. Part of this comes from a personal code that I live by of not airing out family business in front of others, but then there's also the overall ineffectiveness of it. I mean, sure, it gets the attention, but does it maintain it? It's the intellectual equivalent to hitting the lottery over becoming a self-made millionaire, in my opinion. Again, I'm not knocking anyone's hustle, as this platform is vast, wide, diverse, and I am pro First Amendment. Moreover, I fully believe in calling out personal accountability, so I'm not blinded to anyone's flaws. Which brings me to a quick aside on this current digression. I know there seems to be a certain stigma associated with the disposition of single motherhood, even more so in our community. And believe me, I'm not here caping for it, but I also don't like seeing what looks like collateral damage in the campaign against it. I know my sisters and cousins' stories personally, and I know their parental status wasn't to be aspired. It was the product of circumstance, as was Miss Smith's. Again, she's open and honest with how she got to where she is in life, careful not to downplay her hand in things. Similarly, it appears that her goal is to demystify such stereotypes and even work to change the system, which seems to be disproportionately unfair to the fathers, which is appealing. Despite, or in light of these things, it seems to have muddied the waters and caused her to get sidetracked in, among other things, defending the oftentimes slanderous allegations levied against her. Which brings me to her dissenters. Looking into the videos of those who are refuting and reacting to her, I quickly got a sense of who they are, and I found that it was a 20-80 split in favor of people just keeping a dumpster fire ablaze. Again, those who are or were in Miss Smith's life are more than likely slighted, and it can be argued rightfully so. So this drama is the culmination of them and the supporters they garner, pushing against Soncerae, who is rightfully defending herself, most notably her status as a single mother, which is remarkable given that she shares only, quote, 20% of my life. You know, this brings me to another allegation, though, that she has to defend herself against. Another way in which we as a community tend to undermine one's credibility is to let's say, out their history, which has always been an interesting tactic. So if it's a masculine guy, you suggest he's gay. And if it's a woman, infer that she's loose. Those who are slinging such stones do so on the premise that Miss Smith's past doesn't give her any leg to stand on. And on that note, I'm compelled to get a little church on y'all. But rather than going all easy and espousing the he who was without sin trope, just go look up two women, Rahab and Mary Magdalene. I'll wait. Miss Smith's foibles notwithstanding, her content and character seems consistent, a fact which can be easily made evident after only a few videos. And like my maternal kinfolk, Soncerae's single motherhood isn't based, and certainly not to be commingled with the likes of the truly ratchet, whose behaviors, by the way, I will admit do not bode well for the community, but the method in which to convey such a message I still struggle to conceptualize. So I guess the likes of those extreme content creators are needed. Perhaps they're like the content cops of our community. I digress. Sure, Miss Smith's stories are filled with hard-headedness, but I can also see that it's underpinned with wholeheartedness. In fact, her entire journey seems to be of her trusting fully in the virtually untrustworthy, only to have her gut instincts to walk away, which she initially overrides, proven correct. Her revealing such heartache in a video, the indicated parties refuting her claims with mostly ad hominems, and her responding in kind to them and the trash-flinging spectators. Like I said, high school. Side note, I was just thinking about this point when I was editing and I had to add this for y'all. Okay, you do realize that regardless of what your claim or rebuttal is, the moment you resort to such tactics, you and your words instantly become delegitimized. I mean, sure, it may work in hip-hop, with the freestyle, or if you're battle rapping and you drop one of those clue bombs on somebody. But as I've mentioned before, the black diaspora is vast and diverse, and the intellectuals among us, aka nerds, have been on the rise. Therefore, if your intention is to merely pander to a certain demographic only to score a hollow, then I suppose you're being effective. However, you're not scoring points elsewhere. I'm just saying. Ja! But, past all of this, a nugget of wisdom and truth is gleaned if you're keen enough observer, as I have been. Like, for example, her relationship with her children. Of the videos and pictures they're featured in, none of which seems to have that front for the camera vibe, this strongly indicates that her relationship is genuine behind the scenes. And they seem to be happy and healthy, and perhaps insulated from the harsh digital world that is YouTube. Her charity work and non-profits are plentiful and verifiable, as there are videos on her channel and pictures on her IG showing her giving back to the community, among other things. And again, her transparencies are raw, non-exploitative, and serve as a cautionary tale for younger viewers. And she has a comeback story the likes of several others I've already covered, which is why what makes her awesome as a parent, looking to refocus on advocacy, activism, non-profit, and charity work. Soncerae made a pledge in a recent live stream to leave the drama behind into 2019. And I agree, there will always be dissenters, dissuaders, and trolls, because
some men just want to watch the world burn.
Heck, I'm waiting for my haters to reveal themselves, because that'll really show me that I've arrived on this platform. But for real, I really don't want that smoke. I mean, ideally, I would love for all of us to come together as a village and not merely for tragedies. However, if that's not the case, it would at least behoove us to move in silence like other groups. And if there is a disagreement amongst us, i.e. tackling the reasons behind the single motherhood epidemic in our community, we create spaces where we can discuss them with reason and grace. No, well, as long as I'm wistfully dreaming, I'll just try to make it a reality on my own and in my own way with this channel. And hopefully Miss Smith does on hers. In closing, and just to be clear, I'm not caping for anyone. Despite this channel's message of celebrating awesomeness, which is admittedly inherently biased, consider this one 80% informative and 20% propaganda, if it's even that. As with all of my videos so far, I'm not paid to do this, nor do I have a personal connection with anyone, to include Soncerae Smith. In fact, when I approached her with my intentions of making this video, she was rightfully cautious, for a whole host of reasons, some of which have yet to be revealed. Just like in my video on Nipsey Hussle, The intention was to steer the message of an otherwise controversial figure from their follies to their feats, and Miss Smith has a lot of the latter over the former when you start to look around. Taking all of the above into consideration, I pretty much asked myself this question: what would I do if this was my sister being dragged to filth? The answer became this video. Okay, so thanks for watching. And again, thank you for an amazing year on this platform. 2020 promises to be a bigger and better one for me, and I hope it is for you as well. Let's start by reducing the drama, because whether you like it or not, it seems as though the platform as a whole is done with it, and maybe rightfully so, because we should loudly celebrate wins rather than blaringly overstating losses. Anyway, I hope you all have a fun and safe new year, and I will see you on the other side with more content ready to go, irregularly scheduled as it will now be known for the foreseeable future. In the meantime, if you like what you see, keep the love coming the best way you know how, by liking and sharing. Get more people to like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you know when I'll drop another nugget. Oh, and P.S. if you're looking to unsubscribe and make me a pariah in the process, who am I not to allow you to exercise your free will? Can you at least just leave a thumbs down on your way out though? Either way.
Until then, stay awesome!
This video is also dedicated to my wife, the real one, my partner, the mother of my beautiful babies. You've had a front row seat to this wild ride in 2019, but it's amazing how we came through it together. We're building on a level that is unprecedented in our whole time together, and words really can't express how I feel. Here's to however long we have together on this plane, and then on to our eternal vacation back on the islands. I love you.
This is Pastor Robert L. Carpenter II. There are a number of inappropriate videos being published on YouTube about Soncerae with malicious intent. These videos violate YouTube's community guidelines. We ask that you report any content that promotes or condones violence against her because of her race, gender, age, economic status, sexual orientation, or relationship status, as well as content that incites hatred or harassment. If you see any misleading descriptions, tags, titles, or thumbnails that use her name, image, footage, or voice in order to increase views, please report the content. Things like predatory behavior, stalking, threats, harassment, intimidation, invading privacy, revealing other people's personal information, and inciting others to commit violent acts all break YouTube's community guidelines. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate your subscription.